welcome back to the Bliss Podcast.
Hello.
Hare Krishna. We're in the studio here today with dear Paramahamsa Prabhu, special guest. Say
Krishna Prabhu's
Jai.
and Mataji's.
Very nice. So this is the 9th episode of the Bliss Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to be discussing a very tense topic: war, World War III. Do we have a sound effect for that? Yes. Okay. Very nice. So World War III. Yeah, this is a pressing topic.
After the war?
Fun and games. So, yeah, this is a pressing topic because obviously nobody wants to die, and there's an increase in global tensions between the major superpowers of the world right now. They're all threatening to blow each other up with nuclear weapons, and that doesn't sound so fun for most people. People generally don't want to be blown up. So, as far as I understand it, we're in kind of in a global melting pot. There's America, Russia, North Korea, China, Iran, Syria, all these, India, Pakistan also. So all these powers are combating. So yeah, as I mentioned before, I'm in the studio here with dear Puraja Prabhu, Paramahamsa Prabhu, and I'm your host, Maitreya Rishi Dasa. So, but today we're going to be discussing war and the Hare Krishna outlook on war. What is the solution, and what is our viewpoint on it? So, dear Puraja Prabhu,
Hare Krishna.
how do the Hare Krishnas view war in general?
Well, war is good, provided it is fought for the right reasons.
Wow.
Yeah.
But people
The non-violence is artificial. You can't have non-violence because in this world, one living entity lives by killing other living entity. Just like the animals, they eat the plants, then the humans, they eat the animals. It's just nature of this world, survival of the fittest. Everyone is fighting for survival. So this idea of non-violence, complete non-violence, is phantasmagoria or utopian. You must fight, but we should fight for something sensible, not for animalistic purposes. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna instructs Arjuna to fight for dharma, based on religious principles. So in that case, if the war is fought on religious grounds, provided it is also understood what is the real religion, then the war is justified. The Bhagavad Gita, I highly recommend to those of you who have not read yet Bhagavad Gita, is based on this topic of justified war.
Now, someone might say there have been many religions who fight for their religious principles. And actually, religions are a big reason why the wars start. One religion says, my religious principles are the topmost, and another religion says vice versa. So, when you say real religion, what do you mean by that?
Well, our understanding of religion is a little different than, the stereotypical understanding of religion nowadays or before. In Sanskrit, religion is called dharma, and dharma does not refer to a sectarian, dogmatic system of rules and regulations, rituals, but it is the characteristic of not just every human, but every living entity. And that constitutional characteristic is the desire to serve or service. Everyone is serving someone. The Christians are serving, the Muslims are serving, the Hindus are serving. Everyone is serving. That is how we enjoy. Even a big president, he's serving his children. He's serving them. And this is how we enjoy in this world, by serving others. So when that service propensity is applied properly, that we serve God, we serve Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then that is the perfection of religion. It is not that there are many religions. It is simply because that pure service to God, unconditional service to God, is tinged by material desires. So then we serve our family and so on, because the family gives me something in return. I serve my country because I have some interest with the country, and so on. So that is why there's conflict.
I see, okay. Now, just as a little devil's advocate, someone might say, well, I don't serve. That's actually my enjoyment, is I don't serve. I'm my own boss, and even if someone does serve, they serve to eventually to retire from this service. So
that is frustration. That is just like a jackal in the orchard. He was jumping. A jackal came to the orchard, and he was jumping after grapes, and he couldn't reach because he was too short. So then, instead of admitting that I'm too short, I can't reach the grapes, he concluded that the grapes are sour. So this is not natural position. The natural position is that you want to serve. It's just because you have been disappointed in the material relationships, that is why you have concluded that I don't want to serve anyone. But that is not a natural position.
I see, okay. Well, thank you for your answers. We're going to take a little break, and then we'll be back for more questions about the Hare Krishnas and their viewpoint on war. Stay tuned for more of the Bliss Podcast. Okay, welcome back from the break. So, for those of you who just tuned in or whatever, we're talking about World War III. What are the possibilities? Is it going to happen? And what are the Hare Krishna's outlook on World War III? So some people think that it's going to be a nuclear war, and some people think it's going to be a cyber war. Now, speaking of cyber war, which is hacking into people's stuff, using the internet to shut down banks and hospitals, electricity systems, all this stuff to try and corrupt a country from within. Speaking of the cyber platform, we have social media that you can get in touch with us on through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can find us on Expand the Bliss under everything except for Facebook, which is Bhaktivedanta Lives in the Sound Society. The YouTube channels, apart from Expand the Bliss, are Kick on the Face, where you can find the classes that Dear Purajit Prabhu gives. Kick on the Face is the philosophical videos, and the Expand the Bliss channel on YouTube is where you can find the classes. If you can't see the classes online for whatever reason, you're more of a physical person, you want to see them in real life, we also hold classes every day here in La Linea in our temple. So you can get in touch with us to find the address for the temple. We'll be releasing some advertisements where you can find how to come to the temple here in La Linea. So get in touch with us through our various social medias. We'd like to hear your feedback, your criticisms, your challenges, whatever you may have. Please like and share the Facebook pages and the Instagram pages. We're trying to spread digital Sankirtan across the world. This is actually going to save the world from World War III. So very essential that if you would like to live, you must share the Bhaktivedanta Lives in Sound Society to all your friends. We need to get the page. The Facebook page is currently at 900 likes. So we can easily get it to 10,000 likes very soon. I think that's a feasible thing. We're also on Patreon, and we're recently making a GoFundMe. So if you're feeling at all generous, please donate just a little something to the Bhaktivedanta Lives in Sound Society to support the efforts of the preachers here in this society, so that we can propagate Srila Prabhupada's teachings all over the world. A little something from your heart, it doesn't cost so much. Patreon's only $5. GoFundMe, give what you can. Nothing is too small or too large. So thank you very much for that.
Please make it under 1 million if possible.
Yeah, the 1 million maybe
difficult with the taxes.
Yeah, we don't want the government to take all of your money there, but we certainly wouldn't be offended. So also we have
so they can make a bomb.
Right. So we also have a website, Expand the Bliss. This is a very nice platform because you can find on there articles that the Prabhus are writing. There's some very nice articles on there by Pirajit Prabhu, Paramhamsa Prabhu, Makanchal Prabhu, very expert writers. And also some very nice ebooks, compilations compiled by dear Pirajit Prabhu. Really nectar compilations of Srila Prabhupada's writings. Some nice essay books there also. And you can also download books like the Bhagavad Gita and the Ishopanishad on there. So sorry, I'm just going to revise that. You actually cannot do that. You can only get Bliss books on there. So
and Bhagavad Gita also.
Okay.
Yeah.
No Ishopanishad. I'm so sorry. Bhagavad Gita is available on there.
And also there's a nice article by Maitreya Rishi recently. What is the name of that article?
What to do if you wake up in a new body.
Yes, with a nice picture of a guy hanging from someone's head.
Yeah, it's kind of a picture.
Very trippy. Yeah, very nice.
Okay, so...
People like that.
Okay.
Also, we receive a nice review from Anand Prasad from Singapore.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. He's checking our preaching and supporting and liking and reading. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Wonderful, yeah. If you like the content, please write a review. That'd be very nice. We appreciate all the feedback.
Or an insult.
Or an insult. Or a challenge.
Everything is welcome.
We are open.
As Prashadam.
Jai. So, Prabhu, now, we were talking about war. And I was thinking, because you said everyone has to fight, I don't think that's so. I think that we can get along in love. You know, I thought the Hare Krishnas, they're meant to be all about love.
Yes, that is possible. Yeah, but we first of all have to find the common ground. So everyone has this propensity to serve, but it is misused. So we serving, in the Srimad Bhagavatam there's a very nice analogy given. Just like you watering the root of a tree, similarly, if you serve Krishna, then automatically you serve everyone else. If you water the root of a tree, automatically all the branches and leaves are nourished. Another example is if you supply foodstuff through the mouth, the energy is distributed to all limbs of the body without separate endeavor. It's not that you have to push the food into your eyes, into your nose, like that. You put it in the mouth in the right entry, and then the energy is distributed equally. So that we have to find. This is very important. People want unity, they want peace and so on, but they're not very much interested to find out about God, which is the absolute truth that connects all the relative truths. Krishna is the absolute truth. So this is our Krishna consciousness movement. We're giving the knowledge of how to find that common platform that connects everyone. And you can see in the Krishna consciousness movement, everyone is joining. Americans, Europeans, black, white, men, women, all types of religions, Muslims, Christians, Jewish, everyone can be nicely connected. And they don't necessarily have to give up their sectarian religion. They can go on, but make it perfect. Come to the platform of love of Godhead. Savai pumsha paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshajaya. I tu kiya pratyata yetma suprasidati. This is the definition of pure religion according to Srimad Bhagavatam. It is unmotivated and uninterrupted. That sort of love we want. Not that I love God for a certain reason. I love God because I want something. Then there will always be imperfections, because so long we have some material motive, then we come into conflict with other people, other living entities.
I see.
Just like the Christians, right? They say love God, but they kill the poor animals. Sorry, love thy neighbor, right? You love thy neighbor, you love humans, you're very nice, but the animals you send to the slaughterhouse. So that idea of God consciousness is not well understood. It is there, but it has to be perfected. Why the animals should be killed? So that we're offering by experiencing a higher pleasure in relationship with Krishna, in direct relationship with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God. You develop a higher taste, and automatically such lower taste as meat and illicit sex and gambling and intoxication, and all these sinful activities, they gradually decrease.
Okay, I see. Now maybe you could elaborate, because some people think there's no such thing as the absolute truth. So maybe you could elaborate a little bit more on this thing about relative truth and absolute truth there you mentioned before.
Well, there must be the ultimate conclusion. Just like in the country, there is the law. You might say, oh, I don't believe in an absolute truth. But if you commit a crime, you're going to get arrested. Whether you believe or not believe, you get arrested. So similarly, there's a higher law of nature. And if you violate that law, you have to suffer reaction. It's the law of karma. So this has nothing to do with belief or disbelief. It is a fact. There must be the ultimate truth, ultimate reality.
I see. So is war like some amalgamation of karma? If there was to be some big war?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. When you look at it, all the conflicts, it's not caused by religion. It is caused by greed. And greed is because we are unable to control our senses. We are unable to control our lower selves. Just like everyone has an experience that there's some temptation, that he knows there's something he should do. It doesn't necessarily have to be spiritual activity, but anything. He makes some plan to do something, and then he's tempted or distracted, and then he loses focus. You see, so we're struggling. Krishna says, Mana Sastra and Indriyani. That the living entity is trapped in the material world, and he's fighting with the senses and the mind. We have to, according to the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita, we have to control these senses. We have to control our passions and desires and greed and lust. These things, envy, these things should be decreased. So if you go to the university or anywhere, people are not completely ignoring this aspect of life. In the past, okay, there was some church, some religion, this and that, temple. Even now there is, but it's decreasing. Even people go to church and temple. It's not to purify themselves. It's just to follow some rituals in order to get some material benediction from God. But the real purpose of religion is to purify your existence from these lower qualities that are constantly bringing us into trouble. So if we're not able to control these, that they increase. The greed is increasing, just like the senses are. The lust is compared to fire. If you want to put out a fire, you throw oil in it. What's going to happen? The fire is going to increase. Similarly, if we try to satisfy our lust, this is an illusory idea that I want to satisfy my lust, I want to satisfy my greed. It will never come. That point will never come. The lust is constantly increasing, and that's how our materialistic economy is based on this principle, that people are uncontrolled in their sense gratification, and the businessmen and advertiser, they're simply offering newer and newer temptations to suck their money. So the life of a yoga is the life of freedom, when instead of being victimized by my senses, I learn how to control them by experiencing higher taste through chanting Hare Krishna. I decrease in my consumption, and in this way I achieve real peace. So this has to be applied on a mass scale, not just by some policy, but by mass scale. People should learn how to control themselves, and then all these problems will be automatically solved. There will be no war, no conflict.
So it's like an ultimate peace formula if people chant Hare Krishna.
Yes, and those who disagree, who don't want to do it, they should be fought in war. They should be killed in war, according to the Bhagavad Gita. If you see on a mass scale, these are like criminals. Criminal is a person who cannot control his passion and becomes dangerous to the law-abiding citizens. So such people, they should be eliminated. They should be killed or put in a prison. Something should be done. Not that, oh, we shall tolerate. This is not a very good idea. That we should tolerate some aggressor, someone who doesn't know how to control himself. He rapes, he kills, he steals. He must be taken out and persecuted. So if there's a nation of such criminals who are aggressive, they should be fought. They should not be left aside like that. So it becomes a little complicated when we read the Bhagavad Gita, because nowadays it is considered to be, violence is considered to be a low class activity, right? People are very enlightened these days, but at the same time we should understand that there is a usage of violence and must be properly utilized.
I see. Now this is like a solution that can really only come about if people take to it on a mass scale. Am I correct in saying, or how will it take to the masses? Because I'm not sure that everyone will become Krishna conscious.
Well, everyone is Krishna conscious, but different levels. Anyone who's accepting God, at least he accepts God. He's Krishna conscious. Christianity, it's Krishna consciousness. There is an idea of God. God is our Father. In Islam, same thing. Allah is the greatest. So this is also Krishna conscious. It might not be so pronounced, might be not so concrete. The science might not be so developed, but the idea is there. So everyone is Krishna conscious. Everyone is looking for the object of his service, perfect relationship. It simply has to be. People have to be enlightened, educated. So that is why we're setting up these centers, Hare Krishna temples. These are places where people can go and learn about God, about Krishna, and about science of self-realization, and how to control his senses, how to become a perfect man.
I see. Now, if it was to go, would it be on the political scale? Because a lot of people have this idea and this ideal that there should be a separation between church and state. So should Krishna consciousness as a religion or a yoga practice or whatever it may be applied on the political
Why it should be separate?
Well, this is just an idea that people have, that sometimes because there should be distinction, between governmental duties and religious duties.
Yeah, well, the reason why they propose like that, because nobody knows what is religion. See, there's fighting amongst different groups for sense gratification. See, all these different groups are there because everyone wants to enjoy separately at the expense of the others. The religion has been misunderstood as a tool for my sense gratification. So it's like someone is praying to God, oh God, please kill the Russians. And the Russians are praying to God, oh please God, kill the Americans. So our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, he says, oh, now Krishna has a very difficult job to do. You see, so it is not like that. This is a perverted idea of religion. So that is why there's so much fighting, and that is why the state has become aloof from religious affairs. But the result is that the government is atheistic, and they apply an atheistic concept governing the citizens from the atheistic, which is the worst. Because if there's no idea of God, then the conflicts will simply increase. And simply if you take care of economy, as I said before, what that economy is, people will become more and more animalistic. So we propose that the real meaning of secular government is that the government should not interfere with religious affairs, but at the same time, they should support the distribution of spiritual knowledge. Just like they support the development of universities and so on, they should support spiritual knowledge. This is the most important knowledge. We propose that religion is not just a sentiment, but it is a very logical science. Based on this Vedic literatures, we can discuss God, the soul, and service to God on philosophical ground, not on sentimental faith-based ground. So the government should support this. Otherwise, it is very difficult to change the society. We're there in the streets offering the books. It is very difficult. We're struggling very much to to propagate this message of the Vedas. People are not taking it seriously. So if the government takes it seriously, then everyone will take it seriously.
I see. Now, it sounds like maybe the Hare Krishnas need to get involved with politics. What would you say to someone who asked like this?
Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha, Rupa Goswami says that we dovetail everything. We don't reject anything. We don't say, oh, this is material, I don't touch. Because according to the Vedas, Janmadiyasya yataha, everything is coming from Krishna. So everything has a relationship with Krishna. We simply have to utilize it properly. So politics also, why not? If it's utilized for Krishna consciousness, we can take part. We're not sentimental Babajis that were chanting Hare Krishna in a solitary place, pretending that they're all very self-realized. No, we're very much concerned that people are suffering in this world. There's so much injustice. So we're trying to solve this problem, but we're trying to solve it based on the authority of the Vedas, scientifically, not based on some false philanthropic ideas that are temporary and they don't really solve the problem at the root. We're coming to the root of the problem. There's lack of Krishna consciousness, God consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Now, but if everyone becomes a Krishna conscious person and the government's also Krishna conscious, then how can we all just be monks? How is a nation going to be defended? Maybe more even specifically, how will things go on?
Well, Krishna consciousness doesn't mean that you have to become a monk. Monk is just a material designation. It has nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. There are monks, there are soldiers. The Bhagavad Gita wasn't told to a monk. It was explained. Krishna explained this to a soldier. Arjuna was a big politician, big head of a country. So it is not a stereotype that simply Hare Krishna devotees are monks. Anyone can be a devotee of Krishna. Doesn't have to be necessarily a monk.
And if they fight, they're not. It's not like a sinful thing to fight, or what is that?
No, Krishna consciousness, we must understand, is to do things, but do it for Krishna. So if you're a soldier, you fight for Krishna. If you're a cook for Krishna. If you're a lawyer, fight in the court case for Krishna's interest. Everything you do it for Krishna. Don't do it for yourself or for your family or for the people. Do it for Krishna. Then everyone will be satisfied.
Okay, so it's almost like as if if everyone has the common interest of Krishna, then there will be no conflict of interest. And
yes.
Possibly even therefore no war.
Yes, because we're all locked up in our tiny little cults. Family is also a cult. It's a little cult. Now, there are people, groups in that cult, and they have their interest, and they're fighting all the other cults, all the other families. And then they make a pact, right? Many families, they get together, they create a community. Then the communities, they create a country. And then the country fight. But, Srila Prabhupada, maybe you can explain this analogy with the circle. It's a genius analogy.
Uh-huh. Well, Srila Prabhupada gives this example that there are many points, and they all have their interests, which are represented as a circle. For example, I have my idea of sense gratification, or whatever it may be, and that will conflict with another person's idea of sense gratification, his interest, his circle. The circles will overlap. But if there's one point, if there's one interest in the middle, and that point being Krishna, the satisfaction of Krishna, then no matter how many circles, how many spheres go around this one point of interest, then there will never be any conflict. So that if everyone's common interest is the satisfaction of Krishna, then there can be no conflict of interest.
Yes. So we must switch the focus. For the focus should be God and the knowledge of God. If someone has a sectarian bias. Oh, it is not Krishna. So let us sit down and let us discuss who is God. If you have a better idea of who is God, we shall accept. But we propose Krishna. We have a very concrete idea backed up by thousands and thousands of years tradition, Vedic knowledge, and we give a proposition. This is God. Now, if you have a better God, then let us discuss. But you do not have. So why not accept Krishna? We are open. Let us discuss. In all our centers, we always ask, if you have any challenge, any criticism, any question, you please bring it up. But you do not have. People do not have an understanding of God. If you ask, who is God? They have no idea. It's a very vague God, the creator. They say there's a creator. It's something, someone. I do not know exact. No clear idea. So we have a clear idea. And if the clear idea is understood, and everybody understands, then there is no conflict.
Mm-hmm. So people, they're not necessarily forced to come out of their respective religion. Like you said, it's like a perfection of other religions. Does that mean there's one religion, Krishna consciousness, or people can stay to their respective rituals and however it may be?
It's just like you have one science, let's say mathematics or law. So it can be taught in different universities.
Mm-hmm.
It can be taught in American university or Indian university, but the science is one. See? So those who graduate from the university, they can meet together and discuss. The intelligent people, they understand. But those who do not understand the science, they will have these immature ideas that, oh, the Indian university, they're low class, and the American university is better. And so science is one. Simply you have to understand the science. Then you become a great scientist. Similarly, God is one, religion is one. Simply you have to become a sincere lover of God. Then there is no conflict. You will acknowledge God consciousness in any part of the world, any religion, any tradition.
I see, okay. Well, I think that about does it for this podcast. Maybe you have something else you'd like to add?
Yes, Srila Prabhupada, he says that, I'm going to read a purport. The theory that the modern atomic bomb explosion can annihilate the world is a childish imagination. First of all, the atomic energy is not so powerful as to destroy the world. And the second thing is that ultimately it rests on the supreme will of the Supreme Lord, because without His will or sanction, nothing can be built up or destroyed. It is foolish also to think, anyway, that natural laws are ultimately powerful. So Srila Prabhupada here says that this idea that the third world war can destroy the world is childish. This is a false propaganda. Of course, they can create a lot of disturbance, but the world will not be destroyed. This is a puffed up idea. People who are very proud of the science and so on, so they think they can destroy the world. It is not possible.
Well, hold on, Prabhu. Just as someone might say, as a devil's advocate, that someone might say that if they blow up major countries and there's radioactive fallout and massive explosions and there's a global scale war, cyber failure, then how can the world not be destroyed as we know it? The world as we know it, let's say like that.
No, they don't have. This is. How do you know they have such weapons? You simply, watch someone saying that on YouTube, but there is no evidence. This is just a false propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of the war, right? The one party, we have such a weapon, big weapon, and that creates fear. But here Prabhupada assures us that they don't have that sort of power. They're just like little ants, who are playing. And ultimately everything is in the hands of Krishna, the supreme controller. There is an intelligence behind His creation who's overseeing everything. It is not that you can simply destroy one planet like that with your tiny little inventions. So I would not be very much concerned with these paranoias and threats. Ultimately, we have to die anyway. You see, even if they started the war and we all die we have to anyway. So let us utilize every single second so we can realize who we are, who is God, and what is the relationship. And chant Hare Krishna.
So you would say the solution isn't so much that we stop war, but we find a solution more to death itself, maybe something along those lines?
As I said in the beginning, the war you cannot stop. It is not possible. It's the nature of this world. But we can make it a little bit more palatable if we propagate Krishna consciousness. The world can be a better place, definitely. And we can see the effects. Anyone who takes up this Krishna consciousness process, it becomes a highly elevated gentleman or lady. So that we have seen devotees are very nice, very religiously minded, very polite, very pious. They do not commit sinful activities. So the effect is there. Why people cannot see this? If there's the effect, let me take it up and apply it.
That we do not know. That we do not know. Why people do not take it out.
Yeah, that is the eighth wonder of the world. But that's why we are recording these podcasts, so people understand.
So, on that note, I'd like to mention that people should share this podcast, like this podcast, give it to your friends. I think it's a very important message for the world, especially in these current times of tension. So, thank you very much, Babu, for your comments. It was very enlightening. We appreciate it very much.
You're welcome.
So you can get in further contact with us, further touch with us over our social media. That's on Instagram and Twitter at Expand the Bliss. That's also one of our YouTube channels. The other YouTube channel is Kick on the Face. If you're more into the philosophical side of things, we have some nice videos on there explaining some of the basic concepts of Krishna consciousness. We also have Expand the Bliss website where you can see articles written by the Prabhus, the monks here working in the Bhaktivedanta Lives and Sound Society. So please give that a look-see. And we also have the Facebook page where you can see all the updates, memes, posts like that, some pictures on there also, and that's at the Bhaktivedanta Lives in Sound Society on Facebook. We also have a Patreon and a GoFundMe. They're both under the Patreon is and the Bhaktivedanta Lives in Sound Society, along with the GoFundMe. Please give whatever you can. No amount is too big or too small. We certainly will not be offended. Like Prabhu said, if you give $1 million, we would appreciate very much. So please support the very important preaching efforts of the Bliss Society. We very much appreciate it. So without any further ado, thank you for tuning in to the 9th episode of the Bliss Podcast. Stay tuned for episode 10 coming out next week. So, anything else, Bruce?
Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, Etam dashtim evastabhya nastatamano lapabudhaya prabhavanti ugra karmana kshayaya jagatohita. Following such conclusions, these are meaning atheistic conclusions, the demoniac who are lost in themselves and who have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. So Prabhupada comments on this purport. The demoniac are engaged in activities that will lead the world to destruction. The Lord states here that they are less intelligent. The materialists who have no concept of God think that they are advancing. But according to Bhagavad Gita, they are unintelligent and devoid of all sense. They try to enjoy this material world to the utmost limit and therefore always engage in inventing something for sense gratification. Such materialistic inventions are considered to be advancement of human civilization. But the result is that people grow more and more violent and more cruel to animals and cruel to other human beings. They have no idea how to behave toward one another. Animal killing is very prominent amongst demoniac people. Such people are considered the enemies of the world because ultimately they will invent or create something which will bring destruction to all. Indirectly, this verse anticipates the invention of nuclear weapons, of which the whole world is today very proud. At any moment, war may take place and these atomic weapons may create havoc. Such things are created solely for the destruction of the world, and this is indicated here. Due to godlessness, such weapons are invented in human society. They are not meant for the peace and prosperity of the world.
Wonderful.
So, this is the when the people who can't control their senses, they take up the materialistic science and they start inventing things, they can only invent things that will destroy everything. But ultimately, they can only destroy themselves. And this Krishna consciousness movement will go on undeterred. This is the promise of Lord Chaitanya. This is every town and every village this movement will be spread to. So we should be optimistic. The demons will be killed. They kill themselves by their demoniac inventions, and the devotees will go on, and the world will be a nice place.
So become a devotee.
Jai.
Jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to Prabhupada.
Jai.